Een hele goede avond. Good evening. I can hear myself. So that's better. I could hear myself. Very good evening to all of you. I'm very happy that we have a live stream tonight with special guest Paulo. And I can see already some comments in the member part. Bernadette, good evening, Mathijs and Paulo. She's very excited. So are we. We just talked. Odilia, hi, Mathijs. And Stanislaus, I'm in. And if you follow via YouTube, you can use the chat function and put your comments in the chat, and then I will see it in my screen. So I'm curious if you can hear me. Let me know in the chat. So I'm curious if you can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. You can just answer in Dutch or in other language. No problem for us. Just let us know. Bernadette, yes, we can hear you. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Bernadette. And that means also that we will start in 1 minute, and I will introduce you to my special guest of tonight, and we will talk about how to bring the consciousness of Atlantis back. And we are very happy and very excited to tell you more about this. And Edwin, nice that you are here. You can hear me. You told us I can hear you. Stanislaus, yes, and Pauline also. You can hear us very well. So then it is time to introduce Paulo to you. Paulo is the manager of Ascension Portugal, and it's always best to let him introduce himself. So, Paulo, they can hear you, but they can't see you yet. But now they can. Good evening. Very nice that you are in the live stream today. And we're very happy to tell more about the consciousness of Atlantis and how to bring it back on Earth. But maybe you can introduce yourself, tell us something about you that we don't know, and how you, how you're interested in this subject.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your invitation for this live stream and all the things. And my name is Paulo Guerreiro, and I'm working with Ascension at 4 years already. I'm managing Portugal, trying to boost Brazil right now, and always doing research about everything and work a lot with Ascension and bringing more and more knowledge for our days about it. And all the manager in Ascension, we are always together bringing more consciousness, and that is what we are thinking today of bringing to everybody.
Yes. So we met, I think it was in April or something that I was in Portugal, something around that, or May. Yeah, I think we were a little bit later in Portugal. Yeah, we started in April traveling, and we were in May, so we met each other. It was really nice. We did some little projects there and worked together. So that's where we know each other from. And it's really nice that we can talk together about not only Ascension but about Atlantis and the consciousness of Atlantis. And maybe you would like to tell us something about your knowledge of Atlantis, just a little piece where it is and a little bit of history. And then I put you in the big screen, and I split the screen again some bit later.
First of all, I think we are not sure where he is. We are trying to find where he is, right? Because now there's a new discovery. We talk. In Africa, there's a new discovery about a place where they think it's the real place of Atlantis. When I started to study, I hear about California, I hear about Azores, I hear about some places like Cyprus and all that part. And I think Santorini is the place where you are more acquired to talk about Atlantis, maybe. But right now, with this new revelation about Africa, comes a big picture of it, and it's very curious. How can you start to think about it, and you start to see the pictures and start to see, okay, this can combine very well with the history, because the history is a center, and then all the water around and built in layers. So yeah, makes sense, right? Like they say it's kind of 47 kilometers around it. So it's very curious when you see the layers and when you see the middle part and
Yes.
all things. So
Actually, it's funny because you're talking about the Eye of Africa, and the Eye of Africa was first discovered by a man in space. He was looking to the Earth, and I was thinking, what is that in Africa? It's so obvious and big, and it's called the Eye of Africa. You can just Google it later, and you can find more about it. So, yeah, it is really interesting. And what for us is more interesting is like there's an old civilization that's not longer here, and they were far advanced than us, and also in their consciousness, and that is where we are very interested in the consciousness they had in that time and how it can be of a benefit for us. And we talk a lot about it together, about consciousness and working with energy and geometry, because we are really interested both in those subjects. And maybe it's nice to tell people more about the consciousness of Atlantis and what it can bring us. So if you like, you can tell some things about it, and I will look for some questions people will send us. You can just put them in Dutch, no problem for us. If you have questions about the consciousness of that time, and we like to hear them and answer them. So Paulo will just tell some things about it.
Yeah, we will try to demystify, right? For what we know and what we learn, and always every day we are learning about it. So every question is always a good question to think about it, not only to answer, but to think about it. So it's very good when somebody share their ideas in a question or in a remark, and we can go follow that point until a consciousness of what we are talking about. So for me, I study a lot about holy geometry. So I always go for the holy geometry. Why they use the circles? Why they think about some 6-star point or a cube or a sphere, just a sphere. So that's the biggest, for me, the biggest opening consciousness in that era, when you start to think about it, like, how they managed and how they connect the macrocosmos with the microcosmos of the universe and the earth and everything around it in their level. Yes. Because they were here, so they were not out of this dimension. So how can they manage to get that knowledge and to grow up so big like that? And how can we get that right now? Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
So it's really interesting, I guess, that we are growing to a new dimension that's written everywhere. Like we are going to the 5th dimension, where there is prosperity and there is so much love and peace. And in that time they they manage to get that level of consciousness, and we can learn a lot of them, a lot of their consciousness, and working with the energy of that time and starting to learn more about it. So the benefit for us, knowing more about it, is that we can create more also health for ourselves and more spiritual growth. And you talked about the 6-point star, and we know what Ascension also has a 6-point star in their tools, like the Guardian. You have some Guardian there. We both have. So I have this one here. So, and I will put one in the screen, so people can see it more. So this is the Guardian with 12 lines, which are the 12 rays of the cosmos. And it is a 6-point star. And I have a picture of that also. And maybe you can tell a little bit about the geometry of the 6-point star. You don't have to tell everything. Just some nice knowledge things, because we can talk all night about it, and some little interesting facts might be very interesting for the people.
Yeah, what I found the most amazing is like if you see the first triangle, because it's like a division of two triangles, and if you separate the one triangle from the other, their one triangle goes to the macrocosmos and grab all the knowledge, the akashic knowledge of that, and the other one goes to the microcosmos, like very tiny, like like your cells in your body. So when they combine each other, it's the combination of all the knowledge you can have between everything at the bottom of the micro. Only can see it on microscopic things, and then you can look into the sky and see all the macrocosmos, all this big picture around us. So the big star point is the combination of these two things.
Yes.
Okay, so the macrocosmos and the microcosmos. So it's a big combination of knowledge. So only the 6-star point makes a lot and a big difference when it starts to be used in all the energy around you and with you.
Yes. So it's really nice that we understand more of the concept of the two triangles and the energy that is working from the macrocosmos and the microcosmos and the things within ourselves. And we could even see the Merkaba picture in the screen, which you couldn't see because we only have the Skype connection. And it's really interesting that some different forms with the same triangle format will have some different do some different things in your energy system. So like we showed the Guardian as one of the tools that is actually interesting, that they developed those tools in the time of Atlantis, and they bring them back by Master Lantos, who is an ascended master, and told us all about the tools. And they said, don't try to understand it, just go and travel and learn more about consciousness. So we really see it like we are on a travel, on a way to learn more and get back to that consciousness. And it's really nice. And I see some questions. We will come to that in just a few minutes. But it's really nice that the same form, a little slight different in form, can have a different effect on someone's energy. And what we learned from the Guardian is that it really strengthens your energy. So this one, I have to keep it there. And that makes it that you feel more yourself and be more happy, more energetic. And also it helps from electrosmog. But for us, it's so nice that it helps with all the problems. But I think somewhere in us, and maybe in a lot of people, we are all very interested in why does it work like it worked, and we want to understand, like on the level of the masters, how does the energy work, and that's why we work a lot with the tools to understand more and more and more about why the geometry, the holy geometry, works so well if you combine it with energy. So these tools are loaded with energy, or better is to say that they are attuned on the cosmic energy. So it worked for us, and it also gives us a lot of information about the cosmic energy and the I will always say wow, because it feels so great, about beautiful things we can do with the cosmic energy and when we reconnect again. So I think that's really nice. And Pauline has a question. I think it's interesting. Is there a link connection to the beautiful energy of Egypt, or is it separate? Is it nothing to do with it? So that is the question of Pauline, and maybe you can shine your ideas about it, and I have my own ideas. We both dive really deep into this subject. But we still have our own ideas, I think.
Yes, of course. We always think, and then maybe I don't say tomorrow, but next month or something like that. Or if she comes with a better argument,
yes,
we'll change our idea. But the point is not that. The point is, if we are all together in the same energy, if we are grabbed in this sphere, that's the globe and all the energy, the ley lines. Sorry. I think everything is combined, everything is together, because it's like this. If we talk about Egypt, it's like the pyramids. We are still discovering what is the pyramids, why they were made, why they exist, how they align so well with the cosmos, and what was the purpose, the real purpose of that. Right now, everybody says was not to put the deads there, so it was not to bury the human bodies. So why was the big pyramid was built? So that's a good question, but for me, I really think it's like everything is combined, and if you really think is like, and if you see in the history, it's like this. The energy and all the knowledge is always floating in a wave of the planet, and when you grab that knowledge, you start to make it, because if you go to see it, it's like this. It's like when Tesla had the idea of the energy and everything, like
we don't mean the car brand, but we mean Tesla himself, Nicholas Tesla. We was working with free energy, a free energy device, other things.
But it was in the United States, but at the same time there were people in Europe thinking the same. So it was like a wave of consciousness in that time, and everybody who was grabbing that thing was trying to make it happen. So it's the same in here. It's like if this is connected with Egypt, for me it is. For me, it's really a thing, because if we think about like the Kabbalah, it comes from there. So the Kabbalah talks a lot about the 6-star point, a lot, because you see the Star of David, right?
Yes.
So that's the point. It's like everything it's combined. We
can't see separate things, because it's all from the one consciousness, and they tapped into the same consciousness. And Mariana is saying the pyramids are they built before the time of the Egyptians, or during other people? And it's interesting, Mariana, because if you look at the star constellation of Orion, they align perfect with the Giza Plateau, the pyramids over there. And the interesting part is when you want to align them exactly on the 3 stars of Orion, it's more than 10,000 years ago that they are built, more than 12, and That's very interesting because they say the Egyptians built it like 3,000 years ago, but that doesn't connect with the star the constellation. And we built actually an enormous dam. I thought it was in America or something. And what they did with the dam is they aligned it on different stars. So in the case we die and in 10 or 20,000 years later the dam is still there, they can calculate on what time we built it. So we think like that's a way to give knowledge to through the next generation or the next thing will come. And it's very likely that they did it in the past. So it is very likely it's not built, the pyramids are not built by the Egyptians. Actually, they couldn't find any tools of the Egyptians. And the Egyptians were very good in working with wood, but they were not good in working so precise with just these big blocks of which are used to build the pyramids. And they didn't have the right tools. They never find any tools that could help them build these enormous blocks. So yeah, that's interesting. And is there a connection there? I think there's definitely a connection in consciousness, in the way they used. They could do specific things, and we don't know exactly what. But I think definitely the consciousness is definitely something interesting, and that's why we think it's so interesting to grab the consciousness and bring it back and discover all the possibilities that there are on the level of working with cosmic energy and do this on Earth. So that's really good. And Marianne is also saying, is that in the time that the Sahara was green, and we know from different transcripts, if you look at the geology of the Earth, that there was 12,000 years ago, there was a big shift, there was a big disaster. There was actually, they discovered a comet, what was in Greenland. They discovered it lately, and it was bigger than the comet of the dinosaurs, with extinguished all the dinosaurs. And this was much bigger, so it just was a big disaster for the whole planet, with a huge rise of the water level, and which would just fade away like everything. And Marianne is saying, was the Sahara green? And we know the Earth goes through different times, and then it is the green planet and we have the ice planet, depending on how much CO2 is in the air, and that it is a normal circle. Exactly now we're accelerating in the normal circle because we do so much CO2 in the air. And talking about the knowledge, which is also something Marianne tell. The knowledge are coming in energy waves. Is it like also meant from the cosmic? And there is in the cosmic also a circle of which are periods of I forgot the number, like 30,000 years or something, or 22,000 years, where we have knowledge and consciousness, and then it goes down and back again, and it has to do with the central sun in the universe. And interesting, a lot of people think it's in the Orion part, and which the pyramids also are pointed to, but we don't know sure, but it is interesting to think about.
Yeah, maybe the star of Sirius. But if you look at the history, it's always like there's a shift of the paradigm. Okay, so it's like right now we are thinking about something. We have a philosophy of life, and a lot of people are following that philosophy of life. And in the other century, the philosophy, the paradigm was different. Was a kind of factory. Was like you born, you go to school, then you finish your university, then you find a woman, find a job, get married, get kids, continue work until you finish your life. And everybody was following this consciousness, this philosophy. And right now we are shifting this paradigm, and you are now thinking like, what is this? This is like a factory. This is like I'm living, and everybody is living in the same way. So now you are shifting for something new. So you can see everything is together, because in Portugal we did that, in Holland you did that, in Germany you did that. So everywhere the consciousness was the same. So in that part you can see everything is connected. Everything is
Yes.
the same. So from that example, I think you can imagine like, okay, this comes from far away, and it's cycle. Okay, so really like was like this, was like that, was like that. So you came from a lot of cycles, and it's kind of like, if you study the history, you kind of know, and if you can achieve the register of Akashic register, you can see like what's coming next.
Yes.
What is coming next? It's a kind of like that.
Yeah.
So that is the consciousness.
So, and it's interesting that the consciousness that we are talking about, and the Atlantis consciousness, it has, like, the people there were technological, much more advanced, and there were found transcriptions, like people were like more than 1,000 years. And now we can't imagine that, but if we look at our own technology in this time and we develop it so fast, we can see people that are born now will probably be 200 or something. So our technology is also developing. So it is actually, if we now think with the knowledge we know now and the possibilities we probably can achieve as humanity, it is possible that they lived for 1,000 years. So that is interesting, but it also means that we can't live the way like we do now if we grow to the consciousness there. So Xiomara, nice that you're watching. She has also questions. Do the pyramids have to do something with aliens, extraterrestrials, because it's perfectly aligned on the stars and the planets? And she heard that the extraterrestrials are further than us. So I think that's a nice question. Actually, within Ascension we have 3-star pyramids, which I don't have here, but I have it in Holland. And the star pyramids are a beautiful example of the consciousness of other planets. And actually it's different than what we have here on this moment. And I work a lot with the masters also from other planets, and the energy is different. It's not that you compare it here, because they also, like Earth, have some specific rules. Like we have freedom to choose, but on other planets it's different. It's not like that they have freedom to choose. They live more in line with the goddess meaning. So it's different on different places. So Earth is very special actually, and you can't compare it to other planets and other species, because we have the free will here, and we really have to choose to follow our inner path, our inner goddess path, inner light, and we have to do that from free will. And our consciousness will rise and rise and rise, and we will definitely, when we take the route to the consciousness and to our inner light, grow and be aware of the infinite possibilities there are from working with our inner source and with the light of God, or whatever you want to call it, cosmic light. So that's really interesting. Does the pyramids have to do with extraterrestrials? There's definitely a connection if you look at some transcription and found objects. But we also have to consider that living on other planets is different than living on Earth. So I always tell that, because otherwise we think, why are we not that far? But we develop from a different consciousness. So maybe you want to tell something also about the pyramids and the extraterrestrials.
Yeah, because if you think about, like, we are always talking about Atlantis, but Atlantis was surrounded, or let's not put it like that, but the biggest consciousness who came, like, let's think it's a master's plan, was from Lemuria. And Lemuria was at the same time Atlantis, and they passed that knowledge, that consciousness to Atlantis people. So it's like a point of, okay, if Atlantis knows so much, but Lemurians knows more, why they don't pass the knowledge straight? For me, I think it's the same. It's like we need to be a good student to get more and more knowledge, because if you see the biggest minds in history of humankind, like Einstein, Newton, whatever, they were completely focused on what they were doing and what they want to achieve. That they achieved something that in their times there was no way to prove they were right. Right? Like right now, after 100 years, we say like, oh, Einstein was right. So he never had the possibility to see his work upgraded and take it serious, because nobody said he was right, and there was no way to prove it. But only now we have the capacity to understand what he was talking about, what was the experience, and why he was right. And that is the thing, because we want to know everything at the same time, but we don't have the capacity to understand that at the same time. Like if you go to quantum physics, you know a lot of experience, and you think like, what is this, and why I need this? And I was talking about that today. Was about the Schrödinger test, and he says like you put a cat in a box with a poison, with a cup with the poison, and you left the box there, and half an hour you ask, the cat is dead or is alive? This is the test of the guy, and what he says is like, he's dead and he's alive at the same time, in the same a moment. And you say, how is it possible? Or is dead or is alive? And he says, no. Only when you observe the cat, you know if it's dead or if it's alive. And this comes, and when you think like, okay, but it doesn't make sense. But right now, you are talking about the quantum computers. And the quantum computers putting this.
Yes.
You have the 0 and you have the 1 at the same time. Yeah. That's why they are fast. So that experience, you think like, why? What is this? Comes right now to make the quantum computer. So the guy just did that. I don't know why you have that idea. But right now you have the idea of like, what is a quantum computer? And what is the big possibilities to make a quantum computer? But 50 years ago, if you say like, it's dead and is alive at the same time, what you are talking about?
Yes. So you're talking about that when we learn more, we will know different things and look different to the world, and that's also with like with the pyramids, we look at it from our perspective which we have right now, but when we change perspective, we will know much more. And actually, it's quite interesting. You were talking about the quantum stages, and I know they did the double split experiment, which is really interesting. Where what you say is like it is all at the same time. And it's even interesting that they know that when you have one particle and you entangle them with another particle, that if they're on the other side of the cosmos, they both do the same things. And we don't understand it. So our perspective of consciousness will definitely grow more and more and more. And Deepak Chopra, actually, he wrote a lovely book about Buddha, which I lately have read. And then there is a point in the book where Buddha, there's a female coming from the wood, and they have been robbed with her husband together, and her husband is dead. And Buddha is sitting and meditating and say, he changed the things, and the man is back to life, and he was walking out of the forest. And the woman was thinking, wow, that's not possible. And what you really have to understand, what Deepak Chopra wanted to tell, but it had a lot to do with what you're telling, with the with the consciousness we are working to, and also with quantum physics. So it's interesting that he managed to get it in a story to really touch us on a deep level with his book. And we don't have to take everything literally that he is writing, but it is so nice if you can read it from another perspective. And there are a lot of perspectives in the book, and I think this is really a nice one. So that's really cool. So the last question I wanted to do, and then we can finish, and there's a lot to talk about. And we already talked about maybe it's nice to do this every Friday or something. So if you think it's nice, we will do it then a little bit shorter. That we have like 20-minute live streams on Friday evening, and you think that's nice, just let us know in the chat or just put your thumbs up. And we will definitely take a look at the possibilities. And we also can do the questions that are being asked and then do something with it. So I already see Marianne and Pauline very interested in if we do that. So that's nice. So Marianne, what is happening with the people? This is actually a difficult question, Marianne, that are not capable to go to the fourth and then to the fifth dimension. So that's an interesting question. Maybe we don't even know the answer, but let's give it a try. Let's give it a shot.
I think one of the things I was reading and thinking about the theory of Einstein about the relativity theory, and I think we achieved the fourth dimension when we start to think about the relativity. It's about time, and it's something like this. What I understood and what I see and what I study was like this. Imagine this object, this finger, okay, is the size of the measurement of where it is. And let's think like this. I'm here, and you think, okay, this finger has this size. But if the time of the finger to the camera gets shorter, you think the finger is very big. So this is what he's talking about. Four dimension is the object when it presents in the space. Okay, you have a measurement, but it's because you see it in that space. But if I go like this, the moment I take the space out, the time of space out, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So the four dimension, it's about time and space.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start to think in another way, and I think that is what he was talking about when he talks about the relativity, the theory of relativity, because means of time and space. And when you observe an object, is bigger if you are very close to him, but is very small when you are far away from him. It's a kind of like when the sun is getting down, right? You can put the sun in your hand and take a picture. But when he's really high, he looks really bigger. And that's the theory of where he wants to think like, it's getting closer, or it's getting farther.
So that is a really interesting way of seeing the fourth dimension. And I talked a lot about time and space. If I talk about the fourth dimension, and the fourth dimension, I say because all things happen together. People are having problems with old emotion that they were not aware of, and they were suddenly are there because the fourth dimension will like be more activated on the whole planet, and just activate the things in you that are really old and has to be solved. So it's nice to understand with what you showed us from that it is all at the same time, and now everything is there, and that can just give us the feeling that it's not nice. And actually, we always are very lovely about all the Ascension products we work with, like the Guardian. But I know some people do have some love and hate relation with Ascension, because it works deep through your system in all the layers, in all the times, because the energy also works to the fourth dimension. And then that is the moment where people sometimes say, no, it's not for me, but it is for them because it helps them to grow, but they have to attack it, and they have to really go for it and solve the old problems that there are, also to grow themselves in consciousness. Yeah. So the fourth dimension is actually a beautiful gift for us to grow and then go to the fifth dimension. And I don't know exactly what happens when people don't grow and the other people do grow, but I know in Atlantis there were people who could really work with the tools and help other people to grow. So maybe not all people there had that high consciousness, but it was possible to have such a high consciousness. But I don't know. But I know that the high priest and I lost you. I hope he will come back. I lost you for a second, Paulo. No problem.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to.
It was not like in Atlantis. I think that everybody had this really high consciousness, because otherwise no one should have worked with the tools. So they were there with a reason to work and to grow and to get a high level of consciousness. And it was really something that you had to be doing. Like if we look at the society right now, it's not much of a priority. And like you said, it is a priority to just go for it and grow and learn, and like we all trying to grow and learn and all learn new things. So, if everybody, I don't know if it does need to be done. And the other thing, Marianne, is that actually there is one consciousness. If you look at the oneness consciousness, you can feel everybody, all humans, if you are in such a deep meditation and in the sphere. So actually, if all is one, you can't separate it. So I think it's not, maybe I'm wrong, but time will learn. But I think from that perspective and that experience, that there's no such thing as like leaving people behind, because there is one consciousness, but everybody can grow, especially on Earth, because they have free will on their own level of consciousness, and everything will flourish and be at its best it can be. So I don't think people will be behind. I just think that we will grow as a collective energy, and some are further and other will follow later. Yeah. But maybe I will talk in 2 years totally different. Like we're saying, we are so much in discovering energy and working with energy that I tweeted someone this week and I discovered something new I have heard about, but I never experienced, and I think, interesting. So working with energy is always interesting, to learn new things and get new knowledge. And actually that is what it is about for Ascension and us. And also I think the most important thing we can do right now is not think, but really feel more. And Jutta from Germany, the Ascension Germany, always say, no, people need to learn to feel. She always says that, and I think it's a lovely sentence. It's lovely that she says that, because from feeling, we can then understand what is happening. And I think from the feeling we can just go much faster than if we try to understand everything. I think the understanding can come a little bit later sometimes.
Yeah.
So maybe some people are interested in ascension. So somewhere I have a link, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here. So let's bring this up. For the people who are interested in the products or the Guardian or something, they can just look on the website.
Yeah.
You can just click on international, Portugal, Germany, every country, and just like a look. And we talked about Guardian, but there are so much more. Is there just to dive deep into the consciousness and grow, and do some really nice thing, and then bring the consciousness of Atlantis, because these are tools from Atlantis back. I want to say one thing. I know talk a lot, but I was actually I showed it sometime to someone. I said, "Yeah, I'm working with tools," and they said, "I don't need tools. I can do it without." And I heard it a lot, and then I always say, "Okay, perfect." But if I walk to Amsterdam, I'd rather take the car, but because I'm much faster than if I'm going without a car. And that's the way I see tools. Of course, you can do it alone. You can walk to Amsterdam. That's no problem. But if you use a tool, you are much faster in Amsterdam than without a tool. And I don't know what your experience is with the tools and this kind of thing.
For me, I really feel the same. It's like, okay, the thing is like, okay, you don't need tools. Let's talk about the Guardian. The Guardian make me aware, and I start to make an observation around me and about my life completely different and completely like the picture was so big when I start to use the Guardian. Then I was like, huh, yeah, okay. If you think you don't need tools, and if you think like, okay, I can do whatever, I ask you one thing is like, okay, what your parents taught you when you were a toddler, when you were a kid, because that is the first thing who stays in your DNA. Your impression of life starts with that philosophy. So if you think you can erase that for you just like that, okay, go ahead. But I think a tool will give you a big perspective and a great awareness of what you are, what is around you. And that's why we have the challenge of the Guardian with the book. When you write for 31 days, what is happening with you? And from there is like, okay, now I can see the tool working with me, and now I can see how fast it's working with me.
Yes. So thank you very much. I think we have talked a lot about a lot of different things, and I saw a lot of people even say, the thumbs up, I couldn't see it on my phone, but she put it in the chat. And thank you very much, Amaya, and we will definitely think about it. And if we do, we will go next Friday. Did we already discuss a time?
Something like that.
Something like the same time?
Yeah.
Okay, like 7 o'clock for us, because we're in a different time zone, but 8 o'clock in Holland. It's Amsterdam time, yes.
Yeah.
So, Paulo, thank you very much for being my guest today, and I'm looking forward to Friday, where we talk about more things about consciousness and hopefully inspire a lot of people. So I wish you a great evening all, and thank you very much everyone for looking. And we will, so Marianne is saying, can you give me, can you tell me when we are live? What you can do is subscribe to the YouTube channel and also push the bell, then you get a notification. And otherwise, I have to make an email list so I can email people who want that, but I will talk more about that next time. So thank you very much. I see you walked a little bit. Paulo.
No, I'm running without battery.
Oh, you were running out of battery. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much, Paulo.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great night. Bye bye.
So thank you very much for watching tonight's live stream. I hope you really enjoyed it. And if you have any questions for the future, you like to know and what we want to discuss with Paulo, just let me know by email or just write it in the comments, and I will definitely get back to that with Paulo. Wish you a great evening. Bye bye.